So there, as predicted, some of the aircraft involved in our opening Royal Navy formation making their way out onto the runway, and on the runway we have, with wings folded, the Sea Fury T-20, operated by the Royal Navy Historic Flight, owned by Naval Aviation Limited, the operating arm of the Fly Navy Heritage Trust and Navy Wings. And also moving out now towards the runway down to our right, the bag, the Sea King ASAC 7 from 849 Naval Air Squadron at Royal Naval Air Station Culdrose, HMS Seahawk in Cornwall. As I said, this a fond farewell to the Sea King in British military service at an air display. Been away for a few years after an incident at Culdrose in 2014. It was selected as a replacement in the anti-submarine role for the venerable Westland Wessex. Of 1982's Falklands War, when the lack of airborne early warning assets in the South Atlantic theatre was deemed to have been a major concern. The first two CPA W2 conversions began in May 1982 because it for to operate them. Then in the late 1990s, there was a major pre-Iraq war. Helicopters like this flew from HMS Ark Royal, and they were much used in Afghanistan as well. In both theatres, much use was made of the aircraft's over-land surveillance capabilities, tracking vehicles and people. And of course, in that context, the tactical data link is a vital tool in communications terms, allowing the transfer of information in real time to other suitably equipped friendly forces. Embodied in a Lockheed Martin-led project, Project Crow's Nest, in the Merlin Mark II fleet, and that in future will be a vital element. Yes, it's a boring parish. Notice forgotten to take proper measures against the sun, so make sure you do. Thank you very much. So as the last of the Red Arrows make their way into land, we now resume our opening Royal Navy segment of the show, and a flare-laden Wildcat. The
Wildcat's been in service for about 3 years officially. We've been flying it for about 5 years out of Yeovilton. Based on the old Lynx design with that red out of service, but massively improved with avionics and a much stronger airframe. Still retaining the agility that you would have seen with the Army and the Navy fleets before. So Madden's flying is hiked back to speed again. That demonstrates manoeuvrability. Now it's going to kill all this speed and bring that aircraft into figure of 8 manoeuvre to bring it into the hover in front of the crowd centre. carriers, but frigates and destroyers with small flight decks. And the smaller ships tend to move around a lot more, so you can imagine IDC stay in the middle of the Atlantic or the Pacific, ships moving quite a lot, you're trying to land the helicopter. As the helicopter comes down, the ship might come right up to meet it. So that undercarriage is really very, very strong indeed to take that kind of punishment. And that's also now demonstrating the ability of the Wildcat to turn on the ground. We have what is known as a deck lock. This is a hydraulic lock that comes out the bottom of the aircraft and secures us onto the ship, so the ship motion doesn't roll us off. But sometimes we also need to be able to turn the aircraft in the wind while attached to the ship. So the undercarriage is configured so that the aircraft can rotate while that deck lock also is nicely secure, so we don't get rolled off in heavy weather. One of the big changes on the mix of the Wildcat, apart from the glass cockpit and the avionics, are the engines. Huge powerful engines. These ones were developed for the Comanche helicopter that was development in the United States and subject to council. But they are cutting edge technology, very, very powerful, allowing us to operate this helicopter in heavy weights. Oh, missile. Let's see if he can defeat them. Yes, he does. Those engines are very powerful, but also keeping out a lot of heat. The exhaust is pointed upwards into the motor, so that the heat exhaust coming out is mixed in with the surrounding air to find its speed. A heat-seeking missile confuses and holds behind it and move away. When the missile goes, not over the helicopter, and the flares, it's distracted from the aircraft, trying to keep the aircraft safe.
Our right this time, MiG-15 and Sea Fury. The MiG-15 was a design that made much use of wartime German developments in jet aircraft and engine technology that were passed on to the Soviets. The Germans, of course, had pioneered swept-wing jet designs. There was British influence in the engine, however, because while the Soviets had access to German engine technology, was seen as a better bet. To the surprise of many, the Soviets obtained a license from the British government and they produced that engine as the Klimov RD-45, which was later improved by the Soviets as the Klimov VK-1. MiG-15s came into service with the Soviet Air Force in 1959. The following year they went to war for the first time towards the end of the Chinese Civil War, when the Chinese communists were receiving Soviet assistance in the fight against nationalist forces. But their most famous combat successes were in Korea between 1950 and 53. MiG-15s were flown by Soviet and Chinese pilots as well as the North Koreans themselves, and it was, as I said, a group of Chinese-flown MiG-15s that those Sea Furies flying from HMS Ocean encountered on the 9th of August 1952. It was a very effective tactic of the MiG-15s to wait in altitude in large groups and then split to pounce on the aircraft of the United Nations forces. They gained air superiority over an area of northwestern Korea that became known as MiG Alley and forced the United Nations to suspend daylight attacks by the B-29 Super Fortress heavy bombers of the US Air Force in favour of night missions. However, at lower levels, the most effective UN-operated jet fighter of the Korean conflict, the North American F-86 Sabre, had the edge over the MiG, and the greater experience of the American pilots especially began to win the day, especially when later model F-86s become available. But piston engine fighters like the Sea Fury could also be very effective against the new jet. Here they are in close formation now, from our right. Go over to Hangar 8 if that interests you. Into land, after a beautifully smooth display with the Sea Fury, Kenneth Orkvisla, the founder and boss of the Norwegian Air Force Historical Squadron, with which initially wasn't developed for the Fleet Air Arm at all. The idea was... But they made various modifications. One of the great Fleet Air Arm carrier-borne fighters was born. The initial Mark 10 started to replace the Supermarine Seafire as the Fleet Air Arm's primary carrier-borne fighter post-war. Then production switched to the FB-11 fighter bomber, of which 650 were built. They flew in the Korean War from 3 Royal Navy carriers, 1 carrier of the Royal Canadian Navy. Later they were replaced in the first line Fleet Air Arm service by the Hawker Seahawk and the Supermarine Attacker. Squadrons of the Royal Navy Volunteer Reserve carried on with the Sea Fury until 1955. Non-navalised Furies, meanwhile, saw service with the air arms of Iraq and Pakistan, amongst others. Quite a lot of Sea Furies these days have been re-engined with American engines, either Wright or Pratt & Whitney units, intended to improve the usability of the Sea Fury. Very fine engines they are too, an excellent match for the Sea Fury airframe, but there's one of the relatively few now still flying with the original Bristol Centaurus, and a superb engine it was. To give you an idea of the sort of fighter development that took place from when another of the great Hawker piston engine fighters, the Hurricane, first appeared in 1935 until the land-based Fury and navalised Sea Fury appeared in 1944-45. The Hurricane's maximum speed was some 340 miles an hour. The Sea Fury FB-11, however, was capable of a maximum of 460, but that really was towards the end of piston engine fighter development. Then it was on to the jets. This one from the Royal Navy Historic Flight, actually civilian registered and owned by Naval Aviation Limited, the operating arm of the Fly Navy Heritage Trust, otherwise known as Navy Wings, the charity that supports the operation of the Royal Navy Historic Flights aircraft, the Sea Furies and Swordfish. Also, the Sea Vixen, which is currently hopefully on the road back to flying condition. That can be seen in the static park and has a number of associate organisations, other operators who, as it were, bring their historic naval aircraft to the party. We've got several of those here, the likes of the Gazelle Squadron display team, David Bremner with his Bristol Scout, Kevin Crumplin with his Tiger Moth, and others. They the Typhoon's two Eurojet EJ200 afterburning turbofan engines, very apparent during the early part of this display, as indeed it is now, as Jim runs in for a low, high-speed pass. Accelerator there to something in the region of 600 knots. This, of course, very much at the heart of modern-day Royal Air Force combat air power. That's stationed at RAF Coningsby in Lincolnshire alongside numbers 3 and 11 squadrons on the operational side, and number 41 Squadron, which acts as the operational evaluation unit. Then there are 3 more numbers 1, 2 and 6 squadrons, frontline Typhoon units at RAF Lossiemouth on the Moray Firth, and of course 1435 Flight stationed at Mount Pleasant in the Falkland Islands. But now, by contrast, the Typhoon from the left at the slow. Typhoon force will see the original so-called Tranche 1 Typhoons concentrating on the air-to-air and air policing roles. Combat air power about to break into the circuit, the Typhoon FGR-4. I expect to see the undercarriage being lowered off that, and Jim bringing the aircraft straight in on final approach. The first of many fast jets on the bill today, the next of which is the next but one item in the shape of the Hellenic Air Force F-16C from demo team Zeus. Later on we've got the Czech Air Force Gripen, the Royal Danish Air Force F-16, the Royal Canadian Air Force CF-188 or CF-18 Hornet, the French Navy Rafales, the Belgian Air Component F-16. Of course, interspersed with them, more helicopters, more historic aircraft, more aerobatics. An exceptionally varied programme and an exceptional display from Flight Lieutenant Jim Peterson on the Royal Air Force Typhoon. Notice as they pass by there is that the Gazelle doesn't have a traditional tail rotor. In fact, it has what's known as a fenestrum design. Now, Dave, can you explain a little more about that?
Thanks, Ben. You're really going to test my knowledge on this one. Okay, so yeah, the fenestrum. The word fenestra is fenestra, French word for windows. Fenestra, that's right. French word for windows. And as you see, it looks like a turret in a cloud. It looks like a window. Actually, fenestrum, designed by French. Initially, it thought that the designers thought they couldn't get more than 5 blades onto a tail rotor to work efficiently. But by trial and error, they came up with the fenestrum, which is hugely in excess of 5 blades, depending on the aircraft you have. It has lots of advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages is it's quieter, so helicopters generally make a lot of noise. So it's a bit more stealthy. And also because it's protected, it's less likely to get damaged by what we call fog debris, which can be anything that is not supposed to be there. So especially if you're operating out of fields or in confined areas with woodland, tail rotors are very susceptible to getting damaged. And the shrouding around the fenestral protects that, so it makes it a bit more safe. One of the big disadvantages though is it's heavy. You've got a big shroud around there, it brings the rear of the aircraft down, so there is a penalty for power and weight.
The altitude, a very attractive design as well in the Gazelle, which was part of the great Anglo-French collaboration between Westland Helicopters of Yeovil and Aerospatiale of France. The Puma and the Lynx, other products of that. Which were the only ones not used for training purposes, though the Royal Marines, No. 3 Commander Brigade Air Squadron, also took them very much into harm's way. The Army Gazelles saw a great deal of active service in Northern Ireland, of course, and they're still there, but also in Sierra Leone, Second Gulf War, and in Afghanistan. Both former members of 847 Naval Air Squadron. flying both the Lynx and the Gazelle. Also the Royal Marines unit, formerly known as 3 Commando Brigade Air Squadron. Easy to see why the Gazelle has become so popular in civilian hands, even though, as I said, it's still very much in UK military service. A rapid, attractive, fun-to-fly helicopter with that bit of ex-military pedigree about it as well. Gaining a bit of altitude prior to taking a final bow. Prior to that, turning in towards each other again for their crossing break. 2018 Gazelle Squadron display team. Thanks to the two pilots, Tim Gray and Andy Usher. We look forward to seeing much more of them on the circuit in the future because they're hoping in due course to build up to as much as a 4-aircraft team. They've got a very large number of Gazelles in their care at Bourne Park, and that really will rekindle memories of the Royal Navy Sharks display team.
Demonstration of the F-16 Block 52+. The pilot for today's demonstration is Major George Papadakis with more than 1,000 flight hours in the F-16. The team's call sign is Zeus, representing the father of the Olympian gods of the ancient Greek mythology. The Zeus demo team in the last... Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the F-16 Fighting Falcon. now repositioning to your left for the demanding slow roll maneuver. Reposition into the Falcon turn maneuver and then 2-point roll. You can see the F-16 in inverted flight. Climb maneuver followed by continuous rolls. The pilot has already begun his descent as he's preparing for a low altitude pass in front of you. At this point, we would like to dedicate this maneuver to everyone that came here today to honor us with their presence. Now, F-16 Naval Team is proud to present you the knife edge. pilot is preparing for landing, he will fly in front of you for the last pass. On behalf of the Hellenic Air Force and Zeus Demo team, we would like to thank you for being here with us and enjoy the rest of the show.
Two of those conformal fuel tanks on the fuselage sides that are so characteristic of many of the more recent block production F-16s. From this 300 horsepower Pitts S2S that Rich himself has modified to give what was already a brilliant aerobatic mount even more incredible performance. Which has given him better control of the aircraft in pitch to help enable the hovering passes and the tumble for such a major market display. A bespoke aerobatic propeller, and as I mentioned, a very highly tuned engine. And at the control controls, a former RAF Tornado GR1 strike aircraft pilot who, in recent years, thanks initially to his membership of the British Aerobatic Association, has become one of the top unlimited performers in the country. One of the incredible things about this display is the extent to which Rich can change the roll rate as he goes through each pass. We saw there a very good example, starting off with a relatively normal rate of roll, but rapidly pushing it up. Special design came about before World War II had ended. The man responsible, a gentleman in the States named Curtis Pitts. After World War II it became one of the world's most successful competition aerobatic aircraft, long outclassed in that regime. A very good entry level mount and still a fabulous display aeroplane. Rich Gripen sponsored this year as last by a company called Anana, a software company from Bristol. And you can see their name on the top wing as Rich puts the aircraft onto the knife edge before a tumbling flick in the other direction. Manoeuvres of any of Richard's displays, what he calls the Tower of Power. There he puts the smoke on, dives in towards us at high speed, rolling as he goes, but he'll shortly be pulling vertical. And as he goes vertical, into snap rolls to the left, up into the vertical, and then finishing off with a torque roll, rolling as the aircraft tail slides back down through his own smoke. Into another dive before climbing snap rolls away to us, before Rich turns back towards display centre. Pulling vertical again. Negative G. Snap rolls to the right. There they go. And a flick left to recover onto what we call the main A-axis. The A-axis in display terms is the one parallel to the main runway. The B-axis is the one that's at 90 degrees onto that. Now pulling vertical for some slow vertical rolls. And he'll be pulling through into a 45-degree downline. With further snap rolls on his way. pilots ready to turn back in towards us. And a very good opportunity for you to show your appreciation to him as he comes in for this side-slipping, knife-edge pass, the amazing Rich Goodwin with his muscle biplane. Absolutely brilliant.
And as you might feel, it's time to get into the hot part of the day. So please look after yourself. Keep applying that sun cream. There is free water over by the big inflatable slide. You'll find a first aid point. Free water there, and then over by the golf ball radar out to your right. By the hangar there, some more free water for everyone. So please.
Augsburg Airport in Austria. The beautiful and amazing sounding Bristol Sycamore Mark 52. Under an Austrian emigre by the name of Wildcat, who joined the Bristol Aeroplane Company post-war. And oh, the noise of the 9-cylinder air-cooled Aldous Leonides radial engine of 550 horsepower. The sole airworthy example of this pioneering British military helicopter anywhere in the world. The first Mark 11 Sycamores went into RAF service for Army support duties. The Mark 12 followed. That was for use on search and rescue tasks and anti-submarine reconnaissances with Royal Air Force Coastal Command. It was the Mark 13 that brought the Sycamore into regular RAF search and rescue, or air sea rescue as it was known then, service in April 1953. That was with number 275 Squadron. And when, in 1953, the Queen's Coronation Review Flypast took place over RAF Odium in Hampshire, it was one of 275 Squadron Sycamores that led the formation. Sycamores equipped Royal Air Force search and rescue units around the country at Northcotes, in Lincolnshire, Horshams Bay, which is now Norwich International Airport, one famous operation in 1958. Saw 5 Sycamores inserting 41 troops near a terrorist hideout 3,000 feet up in the Troodos mountain range in Cyprus. The operation that followed led to the death of the chief of staff to EOKA, the Greek Cypriot separatist movement. They were deployed to Borneo, they were deployed to Aden, they were used by the Central Flying School for training RAF helicopter instructors. The last RAF user was number 32 Squadron on communications duties. They weren't retired until August 1972. European Airways, BEA, and there were several overseas customers, Australia for example, with the Royal Australian Air Force and the Royal Australian Navy. The Belgian Air Force used them for rescue duties in the Congo, and they were used in West Germany by both the Air Force, the Luftwaffe, and the Naval Air Arm, the Marineflieger. That's where the history of this one began, and it's a remarkable history. Dates from 1957. It served as a Luftwaffe VIP transport, rotary wing trainer and search and rescue platform. It was also used by the German Marineflieger, Naval Air Arm, on search and rescue duties. It was struck off charge by the Air Force in 1969. A large number of Sycamores then went on to the German Civil Register, including this one, a man called building to hangar 7, the incredible vision in steel and glass that is their main display hangar there. I'm sure many of you have seen pictures at the very least of it if you haven't been to it yourselves. With this aircraft came 5 other airframes, 80 rotor blades and multiple engines. Dieter Hasebrink headed up the restoration effort. The main concern was the wooden rotor blades. Condition. It made its first flight as part of the Flying Bulls fleet in July 2013. Siegfried Schwarz had to become a certified test pilot because of the lack of Sycamore instructors and examiners. Indeed, to this day, he's still the only Sycamore pilot in the world. It gained its permit to fly on the Austrian register in early 2016, and it's come to Britain this year in part of the 100th anniversary celebrations of the Royal Air Force. Siegfried Schwarz told me a couple of years ago it's very difficult to fly because you have a lot of forces on the cyclic and collective control. There's nothing like a modern helicopter. You have big trim wheels, you have between the nose and the tail, the centre of gravity. But I like it very much. Sycamore has been back to its birthplace at Westland Sycamore, where it spent some days with the helicopter museum there. And after this show at Yeovilton, it's going to the old Bristol factory airfield at Filton in Bristol to spend a few days there with the magnificent new museum that has just been constructed there, the Bristol Aerospace Centre, before going on to further appearances prior to going home to Austria. It's one of the most superb historic aeroplanes flying in Europe, and it was beautifully presented there by Siegfried Schwarz from the Flying Bulls, the Bristol Sycamore Mark 52.
Mine's gone for the recycling department. Okay.
The supervisor with the Royal Air Force Aerobatic team, the Red Arrows! I can see the nose lights. Get those cameras ready. We're going to start a full show. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the 2018 RAF Aerobatic team, the Red Arrows! The jets come over in big battle formation, the patriotic red, white and blue smoke train behind. Red 1 pulls the formation up and switches into short diamond formation. The jets of 6,000 feet as they come over the top of the sloop, led by Red 1, Squadron Leader Martin Pert. Martin is a former Harrier and Typhoon pilot and has previously served on the Red Arrows as a display pilot. He's in his first year as the team leader. down go the jets at 3,000 feet, that distinctive Typhoon platform against the bright blue sky. On the right of Red 1 in Typhoon is the first of our new pilots this year, Flight Lieutenant John Bond, Red 2. John is a former Tucano pilot and instructor, displaying the aircraft in 2012, and he joins the Red Arrows from the Typhoon Force.
Holding the tight. Now tight.
Lightning go calls Red 1 as the smoke of 4 and 5 comes back on, the wings of Typhoon sweeping forward. This formation, of course, representing the latest 5th generation stealth aircraft that arrived at Marham a couple of weeks ago. Capable of performing simultaneous air-to-ground, air-to-air and electronic warfare missions, this is the Lightning. The nose lights come towards us, the smoke is about to come on, Red 1 is about to pull up the formation in the Lightning Loop. As the jets reach 6,000 feet upside down in Lightning, Red 1 pulls the aircraft over the top, about to bring them down the other side and twist to the left. Get your cameras ready as we'll see the Lightning present from left to right. And returns to the Red Arrows, having previously served before. Phoenix go calls Red 1 as the wings of Lightning sweep forward. The smoke is on. The aircraft forming 6 aircraft line abreast, a very difficult formation for the pilots to fly. As the smoke comes off, Phoenix comes back round towards us as we prepare for the Phoenix present. Squadron leader Mike Ling. Mike is a former display pilot on the team, then carried out the Red 10 role for 6 years before returning for the 2018 season. And Red 3 would like to say hello to Liz today. Seen on the badges on our flying suits, it's time for Diamond. The nose lights are coming towards us, the smoke is about to come on, the jets will pull up. Get your cameras ready for the Diamond roll. As the jets go upside down at 3,000 feet, we can see Red 5 on the left-hand side of the formation, who is Flight Lieutenant Dan Lowes. Dan is a former Typhoon pilot and weapons instructor, and is in his 2nd year on the team. As Diamond moves off to the left-hand side, it's time for my favourite manoeuvre of the display, and I'm sure many of you will agree with me. The next formation represents the combat aircraft that has been the mainstay of Royal Air Force operations for 3 decades and is due to retire from service next year. It is time for Tornado.
Reds 8 and 9 drop to the back of the formation as Red 1 brings the formation round in a left-hand. Our board calls Red 9 as the red and blue smoke comes on of Red 8 and 9 rolling around the rest of the formation. Get those cameras going. Red 1's about to bend the formation to the left, changing smoke colour. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tornado.
Now.
As it's the RAF centenary this year, the manoeuvre you're about to see is named after the significant event and is known as the Centenary Split. The nose lights come towards us, the smoke is about to come on, Red 1 will call pulling up. And pulling up, says Red 1, there go the 7 jets, watch for synchro with the red and blue smoke. Centenary split finishes, keep your eyes on Red 6 and 7 to the left and right. On the right, and they're being chased down by Reds 8 and 9. With the white smoke on, they're about to descend to 100 feet over the runway with a closing speed of over 700 miles an hour. The jets will cross in front of you, 6 and 7 will do 4-point rolls, and 8 and 9 will pull to the vertical in the Jippo Pass. Lieutenant Mike Bowden. Mike is a former Harrier and Tornado pilot and was formerly a Hawk instructor. He's on his 4th and final year with the team. And down he comes with the white smoke on as he prepares for his next manoeuvre. Now look out to the front, right-hand side, just to the left of the church. The nose lights are on, the white smoke's on. Get down, says Red 1, and Enid forward in perfect speed. Here comes Red 9. Straight down the middle in the Goose. The red and blue smoke of the Enid comes back on as they back round to their right. Red 9 pulling up with the patriotic red, white and blue smoke. As Red 1 leads Enid off to the left-hand side with the red and the blue smoke, it's time to look out for the synchro pair again. And pulling up, says Red 6, which can mean only one thing. It is time for the heart. Up go 6 and 7, the smoke's about to come on. The white smoke comes on, 6 and 7 pull over the top of the heart. Keep your eyes peeled for Red 8. Here comes Red 8 from the top right, his smoke comes on as he spears the heart. Let's hear it for the heart, ladies and gentlemen. The jet's about to cross in front of us and do opposition barrel roll. Up go the 7 jets, white smoke on, Red 1 about to roll them to the right, ready for the vertical break. Brake, brake, go, calls red one. It's the vertical brake. 60-degree circle in the circus. Pilots fighting the G-forces in the hard turn. This manoeuvre is named after the engineers that fly in the back seat of our aircraft between displays and is dedicated to everyone in circus and especially to JV. Move off to the left-hand side. Red 1 changes to red and blue smoke. They're about to do 2 barrel rolls to the left in a snake-like pattern across the sky. This is Python. As Red 1 completes the first barrel roll, the smoke is about to change to white as it pulls up for the second. As Red 1 goes upside down in the second of his barrel rolls, the smoke is about to come off as they move off to the left-hand side to prepare for their next manoeuvre. In the corkscrew. Calls Red 9 as Red 6 rolls the aircraft out. They're about to enter a right-hand turn as we wait for the jets of Enid to come in the rollbacks. Roll go calls Red 1 as 2 and 3 start their rolls. Clear go call Reds 2 and 3, the signal for 4 and 5 to start their rolls. Jets move off to our right-hand side. 8 and 9 with the red and blue smoke rolling around the formation. 6 and 7 about to do their own rolls. Get your cameras ready. It is time for the Jippo break. So get your cameras ready. The jets are in big battle. The smoke is about to come on.
Flat left handbrake.
That's all 9 aircraft breaking into the circuit, and as they come into land on the left, they'll be descending down to 200 feet, again with a closing speed of over 700 miles an hour. Red 6 will roll inverted, Red 7 the right way round, and as they cross in front of us, they will switch in the vice versa. Now time to look straight ahead for the shine for the fantastic Vixen break.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Red Arrows! Red 1 will gather the 9 ship back together and reposition, ready to come in for a flat left-hand brake with all...
Unlike the twin-engine Typhoon that we saw earlier and the Rafale that we'll be seeing later on, a single Volvo Aero RM12 turbofan, but it gives this relatively small, relatively light aircraft excellent performance, as we saw there with that climbing turn from takeoff by Captain Ivo Kardosh from the 211th Tactical Squadron of the Czech Air Force at Čáslav. The Swedish aircraft manufacturer as a replacement for its 35 Draken and 37 Viggen models. Served only with the Swedish Air Force, not so with the 39 Gripen. Just like the SAR jets that preceded it, with ease of maintenance in the sort of extreme conditions often experienced in Sweden, and short field capabilities, short takeoff and landing capabilities, much to the fore. It's a cheaper offering than the other fourth generation fighters that they know, the likes of the Typhoon and the Rafale, still very capable, alongside its home country Sweden and the Czech Republic, as we see here, the Air parts of Brazil, Hungary, South Africa and Thailand operate the type. And the Brazilian Air Force is going to follow. That's with the new Gripen E and F models, the next generation Gripen, with more powerful engines, greater weapons load and longer range amongst other improvements. Now, after that very high-speed flypast we saw there, a low-speed, high angle of attack run in from the left. The aircraft's fly-by-wire controls really coming into play here, enabling Evo to maintain a very low speed. And that's high angle of Squadron, which provides this aircraft for the display today, is the Czech Republic's fast jet member unit of the NATO Tiger Association, bringing together squadrons from around the alliance with big cats in their emblems. impressive display indeed of this excellent and extremely popular and versatile Swedish-built combat aircraft. The Czech Republic, one of the many nations whose air arms are contributing to the 2018 Yeovilton Air Day in such strength, making it truly, as the title has it, an international. Thus completing his sequence, Captain Ivo Kardoš from the 211th Tactical Squadron of the Czech Air Force with the Saab Jas-39C. And this is a display where a bit of audience participation and involvement from the ground is appreciated by the crew. You can already see them waving from the rear crew position of this venerable biplane. But a venerable biplane that during the Second World War, despite its many serious limitations, proved on many occasions to pack a considerable punch. And that is evidenced not least by the dummy torpedo carried underneath this aircraft, about to start its takeoff roll from the Royal Navy Historic Flight, another of the Yeovilton-based units, the Fairey Swordfish 1. An aircraft that first flew in prototype form in 1934 and entered service in 1936. Now on the outbreak of war. That's not to say, of course, that some of the Swordfish's attributes didn't stand it in quite good stead. Indeed, it was so slow flying that some enemy guns found it difficult to offset their sighting on such a slow target. It also proved quite a difficult target for faster enemy fighters to come up against. And its sheer manoeuvrability, in particular its tight turning circle, also was in its favour. Swordfish were involved in that. They put a large number of vessels out of action. And in so doing, significantly degraded the capabilities of the whole of the Italian battle fleet. Then there was the chase after the German battleship Bismarck. The Swordfish put a torpedo through that feared vessel's steering gear, allowing the home fleet to carry out the final act with their gunfire. Then in February 1942, there was what became known as the Channel Dash. Sixth Fleet Air Arm Swordfish went after the German vessels Prinz Eugen, Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, which were attempting to move through the English Channel from the French port at Brest to the German port at Wilhelmshaven. Those ships were very heavily defended. All 6 Swordfish involved were shot down, but their commanding officer, Lieutenant Commander Eugene Esmond, was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross, one of 2 VCs presented to Fleet Air Arm aircrew during World War II for his gallantry. And there the crew, the rear crew taking the salute with the naval ensign flying from the cockpit. It was in protecting the vital supply convoys from such small decks. In total, 21 submarines were sunk by Swordfish during the whole of hostilities, most of them while escorting Arctic convoys to North Russia. And Swordfish remarkably were responsible for, according to most accounts, sinking the highest tonnage of enemy shipping to be sunk by any Allied aircraft type. Most of them were built not by Fairey, the aircraft's initial manufacturer, but by Blackburn, and that goes for this one. Final pass from the Swordfish 1, and a final wave. This Mark 1, built by Blackburn at its plant at Sherburn in Elmet. It was delivered to the Royal Navy in October 1941 and then later went to the Royal Canadian Air Force. The aircraft's been on and off the display circuit in recent years. It's now, since 2015, been resplendent in the colour scheme of one of the Swordfish from 820 Squadron, which were responsible for making the attack on the Bismarck. And the aircraft was handled today by a crew headed by, as we saw in the Sea Fury earlier, the commanding officer of the Royal Navy Historic Flight, Lieutenant Commander Chris Gutka. And if ever there was a single type that's emblematic of the Fleet Air Arm's wartime history, the Swordfish is absolutely it. And to that end, the Fly Navy Heritage Trust raise funds on a regular basis. The Navy Wing stand can be found near the lineup of historic naval aircraft in the Static Park at Yeovilton. They've got the Sea Vixen, which will be under repair to return to airworthy condition. They've got the single-seat Sea Fury there, several other aeroplanes. Go and find out more from them, or visit the website www.navywings.org.uk. Please make yourself known to any uniformed personnel. Thank you. F-16 force now concentrated with fighter wing Skridstrup. There are two squadrons there, 727 and 730. This one comes from 727. They hold 24-hour quick reaction alert air defence facilities with two main aircraft and two backups, all armed with Sidewinder air angle of attack flyby. And the first jet fighter landing for 40 years at the Greenland Air Base at Thule. Best place for this climate for year-round importance of the quick reaction alert capability increasing in Denmark, with ever more Russian aircraft approaching Danish airspace. F-16s were scrambled after them 37 times in 2017 against just 20 the previous year, and last August over the Baltic, Danish F-16s had a particularly memorable encounter with a Tupolev Tu-142 Bear maritime patrol and airborne anti-submarine warfare aeroplane of the Russian Navy low over the ocean. Denmark's out-of-service date for its F-16s now set for 2024, with the Lockheed Martin F-35A due to succeed it. Denmark planning to buy 27 of those to replace its F-16s. Chance to see this aeroplane in action, and touching down, Captain Troels Daly of 727 Squadron, Royal Danish Air Force, with the F-16A, the Fighting Falcon. And here they go, rolling the Royal Jordanian Falcons. They'll be taking a few moments to climb to altitude, ready to start their display. 2 minutes, I'm told, by Ghazi Sadoun, who joins me in the commentary box. Ghazi, a very warm welcome back to Yeovilton.
Thank you very much. Always lovely to be back in the UK, the most fanatical crowds in the world of aviation.
And we're particularly enthusiastic to see you this year because of your new aeroplane. 2018 Royal Jordanian Falcons. as they emerge from that half-Cuban in inverted flight, staying in their box formation and pushing as they go out towards our right, maintaining immaculate station keeping. The team being led for 2018 by Captain Jamil Zayad, the team's chief pilot. All 4 men in the formation are Royal Jordanian Air Force fighter pilots and graduates of the King Hussein Air College. Jamil Zayad has flown the Northrop F5 and the Dassault Mirage F1. He's been with the team since 2002. First assumed the lead position in 2005. Diving in towards us, pulling up once more. Getting ready to split for the palm split. We'll now be seeing the 3-ship formation exiting away from us, while the Sunlegs can do. The man performing this for us is Captain Bassam Al-Diabat. Born in 1985, he joined the Royal Jordanian Air Force aged 18. Flew the F5. He's been with the team since 2014. The last year was his first in the solo and slot position. Now as he exits on the 45-degree line away to our left, he does so in opposition to the main 3-ship formation and pulls up behind them. Here comes the 3-ship, led, as I said, by Captain Jamil Zayad, pulling up, twisting that loop to re-emerge back onto the main A-axis display line. Down the line now, just spreading out slightly, ready for synchronized rolls. There they go. And they're now remaining in the line abreast formation, and we'll see them pulling up towards our right, towards the right-hand end of the line, for very neatly coordinated, synchronized stall turns in close formation. Smoke on all 3 aircraft, pulling up, but the airspeed this time being allowed to bleed off. Application of rudder by all 3, and round they go. Very nice indeed. Now we'll see the lead pilot and the right wingman going into mirror formation. The left wingman barrel rolling around their smoke. On the left wing is Captain Sharif Hatouk. He's been with the Falcon since 2015. After his fighter conversion on the F5, he became a transport pilot on the Airbus C295. Captain Bassam Al-Diabat once again for more solo manoeuvres. Torque roll into a 1.5 turn flat spin. Does so in opposition to the 3-ship and crosses onto the knife edge. 3-ship now back in thick formation for another of the cloverleaf manoeuvres. And the split. And here comes the solo once again. This time pulling up for what's known as a launcher back manoeuvre. There he goes, tumbling out of that sequence of rolls. and they're getting ready for the signature manoeuvre of the team. They come from the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, and this is known as the Hashemite Break. Return crossing one another onto the knife edge once again. The other wingman, the right wingman in the formation, is Captain Tamar Al-Majali, born in 1984, joined the Royal Jordanian Air Force in 2003. He flew the F-5 and back in for another solo. Snap rolls into a launcher back, 1.5 turn, flat spin, further tumbles out at the top of a loop. This is the sort of style of display the Royal Jordanian Falcons have made their own over many years. The team established in 1976 at the behest of the late His Majesty King Hussein bin Talal, the accomplished pilot himself. His wish in founding the team to promote the Jordanian family, peace and friendship to the world through the art and science of aviation. They started out with a pair of Pitts S-2A special biplanes. They later made up a 3-ship formation with the addition of a third aircraft, started touring all over the world. Now, from the left, the 3-ship, from the right, the solo, crossing once again. 3-ship up into a line abreast formation. Loop.
Very challenging, the slow roll, lots of coordination, and it's the hardest one. This one and the outside loop is the two toughest maneuvers.
Hard enough with one aircraft on its own to perform a neat slow roll, but all the more so with 4 in very close formation.
I think we are one of the few teams in the world that actually do a slow roll formation.
What would it take to get 10 out of 10 from you guys?
A miracle.
Now, very nice final maneuver coming up, the Concorde break. Very exciting, get your cameras ready.
So, our chance shortly to listen in to the 2018 team leader. The team just taking a few moments to reposition back onto the B-axis. They'll be running in straight towards us, and then we'll be listening into the cockpit for his commands. Display that hasn't been seen at a UK airshow for fully 17 years. CF-18 demonstrations used to be a regular sight in the UK when the...
wave back because he will be watching for you.
Thanks for coming out, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, on behalf of the CF-18 demo team and the entire Royal Canadian Air Force, hope you enjoyed today's show as much as we enjoyed performing it. Come meet the team at our CC-130 Hercules on the static line where we have merchandise for sale and free posters. And remember, we look forward to your photos on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages.
Followed by the third and last of our F-16 displays for the day, courtesy of the Belgian Air Component. Then we've got the Royal Air Force Chinook HC-6, followed by the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight with Dakota and 2 Spitfires. At about 4:25, just afterwards, in fact, the Royal Air Force Red Arrows will be departing to Bryce Norton. Then the finale of the show, starting at 4:30 and running through until just before 4:45, the Commando Helicopter Force Roll Demo. Now, once the Hornet has cleared the two aircraft that are now backtracking the runway represent an era of French naval flying fondly remembered by many who have spent time in that service that we are about to see getting airborne. And then after them, so they're lined up and ready to go. Same engines in both of these aircraft, a pair of Turbomeca Marboret 2 turbojets. Not the most powerful, so quite a lengthy takeoff roll for these two aeroplanes, but plenty of noise, and a very distinctive noise at that. From leading them off, the Morin-Saunier MS-760 Paris, accompanied by the Fuga CM-175 Zephyr. The Zephyr is the detailed aircraft closest to us in that pair. Both of those, as I say, became these days a combination of civil and military. Then, taking the runway, this is the Falcon 50M. We've seen at the last few Yeovilton Air Days, always an absolute favourite with all of us at the show, and they're going to give a very dynamic demonstration to round off the French naval slot in a little while. Examples of the latest in the long line of hugely effective, hugely charismatic French frontline aircraft produced by Dassault Aviation. 11F at Landivisiau in Brittany, a pair of Dassault Rafale M's. from the Flying Bulls, the Red Bull sponsored fleet at Salzburg in Austria. But this one is going to demonstrate helicopter aerobatics par excellence. It's the Messerschmitt Boko Blom Bo 105C. And there's a little taste of what we can expect over the next few minutes from the greatest helicopter aerobatic exponents in the world.
They've got Eminem this right.
Rigid rotor that helps give the ball 105 this remarkable aerobatic performance. Sponsored by Red Bull, based in Lockheed, displays in North America. All over the world. And my goodness me, it doesn't disappoint. mean, this is the helicopter of choice for aerobatic maneuvers in the modern era. The German army excelled at this discipline. They used to use the Ball 105 for observation, anti-tank, utility and special forces support duties. Well, those aerobatic helicopter traditions have been taken on. So that ends his display, and I'm sure you'd like to show your appreciation to Siegfried Schwarz of the Flying Bulls with the Ball 105C. Thank you very much indeed. We will pass that on to him. MS-760 Paris from the Armand Aéropation Association based at Morlaix-Ploujon Airport. Behind it, the other civilian-owned aircraft, the Fugger CM-175 Zephyr from the Zephyr 28, Zephyr 28 Association based at Nîmes-Garons. Then we've got the two Rafales from Flottille 11F at Landivisiau and the Falcon 50M operated by Flottille 24F at Limbuet. That needs to be signed off by a display authorization examiner. And to that end, they went over to France to watch the two pilots flying there in order to give them the required signature, get their display authorizations, and allow them to perform here at Yeovilton. In towards us, the Cockade Marine formation for the break. The two Rafales pulling away first. There's the Falcon 50. They'll be back with us later, but now we have in the lead the Paris, followed by the Zephyr. Most famous marks in French aviation history, as legendary in France as, say, de Havilland is in the UK. Post-war, it designed a small jet trainer called the MS-755 Fleuret meaning fencing foil. That was to meet a requirement of the Armée de l'Air, the French Air Force. That was met by the Fugger CM-170 Magister, from which the Zephyr that I'll be talking about shortly was derived. But Morel-Saulnier decided to develop the Fleuret design as a four-seat light transport and communications aircraft with a view to use not just by militaries potentially, but also by civil customers. And that appeared with a first flight in July 1954 as the MS-760 Paris, and that's the aircraft that's leading the formation about to run in from our left. Early on, the Paris was ordered in quantity by the French military, which took 50 examples for use as liaison aircraft, and the French Naval Air Arm was the first operator with 14 of them, but they didn't just use them as light transports and communications machines. They had various training tasks still, training in instrument flying, refresher training for officers who'd been on a non-flying staff tour, that sort of thing. They were also used sometimes as radar targets. The French Navy had them in service until 1997. The French Air Force, meanwhile, which had 36 MS-760s, kept them on until 2001, and the Argentinian Air Force, which had them built under license in Argentina, had its Paris in service until 2007. 219 were built. It wasn't very successful as a commercial light jet. There were hopes of sales in the US at a time when corporate aircraft were really burgeoning as an industry. They came virtually to nothing. Frank Sinatra is believed to have owned one at one time, though. Government's civilian flying school operated a few Paris. The Cranfield College of Aeronautics, now Cranfield University, had one as a flying laboratory. More powerful Mark II failed to help sales much on the civilian scene, and the 6-seat development won no orders at all. But like most Morane-Saulnier aircraft, its flying qualities were hugely praised. And an early flight test of one in Flight magazine in 1956 saw the test pilot Mark Lambert writing, "I rolled it as cautiously as if I was turning over a crate of eggs. I need not have worried. The aircraft behaved perfectly, showing no unnatural tendency to fall out of the roll or do anything strange. I rolled again several times, taking care, for the passenger's sake, to apply the minimum of negative G, and felt rather pleased at performing at least a minor aerobatic manoeuvre in a jet aircraft carrying 4 people. I still look back on my trip in the Paris as one of the most pleasant I have had in any kind of executive aircraft." As far as the French military was concerned, I was talking a few years ago to a retired senior Air Force officer, Colonel Pierre-Alain Antoine, who said she was a good liaison aircraft for senior officers, pressurised, with good performance, but with a short range with 4 aboard. Nonetheless, a tremendous part of French post-war aviation history. Following it, the very distinctive shape of the Zephyr, Gaston Fouga founded an aircraft company in 1935. He employed 2 noted aircraft engineers, Robert Castello and Pierre Mauboussin, hence the CM for Castello et Mauboussin designation that the CM175 has. They started building gliders. One of them, the CM8, in 1949, had the tail arrangement. The idea was mainly to reduce the drag. One of those was fitted with a small turbomecha jet engine. It performed very well, and a twin-jet version was conceived. By then, the design had moved on to the CM170 jet trainer. That first flew in 1952, and it was ordered into production for the French Air Force, the Armée de l'Air, as the Magister. It was hugely popular with its pilots due to its delightful handling and a very effective lead-in to the frontline jets of the day. It was most famous, the Magister, as the mount from 1964 to 1980 of the French National Aerobatic team, the Patrouille de France. They were sold also to 17 other countries. France's naval air arm wanted a jet for carrier training, and the Magister seemed an ideal choice. They gave it an arrestor hook and attachment points for catapult launchers. The structure was generally beefed up, the undercarriage reinforced, and it was given sliding canopies which would be open for operations on the carrier to facilitate the escape, if necessary, of the crew due to the lack of ejection seats. It also has a slightly less powerful version of the Marmoret engine than the Air Force Magister. And there's a definite British connection with the Zephyr, forward in Sussex, and aboard 2 Royal Navy carriers, HMS Bulwark and HMS Eagle. Nearly 5,300 carrier traps when they were retired. Training of French Navy carrier fighter pilots switched to the US Navy. Here it comes past with an arrestor hook dangling from the rear. Upkeep in flying condition, number 28 being the serial number on the side, and they enjoy a great deal of support and assistance from people associated with the Zephyr in service, of whom there were many. This Paris, meanwhile, is one of 8 of the original 14 supplied to the French Navy that was still in service on retirement in 1997. It then went through a long and complex process to put it on the French civil register with a lot of requirements that needed to be overcome relating to demilitarization of the aeroplane and so forth. Two aircraft forming up once again out to our left, and they'll be coming in for one more run in, and from that the brake to land. So here comes the Paris Interland, flown by Georges Toussaint and Thomas Meslin. Now the controls of the Zephyr, meanwhile, is retired French Navy Admiral Xavier Uday. He learned to fly our carrier Mirage 2000 for a time. He later became the director of the Rafale program for the French Navy. He, as I say, is now retired, but he said to me last night that while other retired senior officers like to play golf or whatever, he prefers to fly this classic jet, touching down now, the CM-175 Zephyr. And the characteristic whistle of the Marbury engine fades away. The Falcon 50 was a three-engine development of that. It was designed to offer sufficient range to cross either the whole of the USA, which was an important market for the Falcon even then, and it still is now, or the North Atlantic non-stop. Indeed, it was the first of the Falcon family to offer a transoceanic capability. The Falcon 50 was certified in February 1979, and the tri-jet configuration has endured throughout much of the rest of the Falcon line. The updated Falcon 50EX was introduced in the 1990s, and that saw production through until 2008, by which time all 350 had been produced. And only the twin-engine Falcon 2000 has broken the tri-jet mold, with the more modern Falcon 900, 7X, and 8X all being free-engined. Quite a few military customers for the Falcon 50, mainly as a VIP transport. The French Air Force was among the first of those. It retired its Falcon 50s in 2011, but the French Navy's very much in active service. And a wing rock on this pass. There are 8 Falcon 50s in use with the French Navy. The first of them were delivered in December 1999, when Flotilla 24F received that initial quartet of aircraft. The roles: maritime surveillance, search and rescue support, fisheries protection, pollution control, VIP transportation, both in France and overseas. One of the key capabilities of those initial aircraft was the ability to drop rescue equipment over the sea, for which a special hatch was provided. The aircraft also fitted with a surveillance radar, a retractable forward-looking infrared sensor pod, which we'll see deployed later in this display, and particularly, you won't have failed to notice, the large observation windows in the fuselage sides. A faster run past this time, around 340 knots. Those first 4 Falcon 50Ms proved very successful in service, so the French Navy decided to buy 4 more, which are ex-Air Force examples. They were modified and added in 2014 to 16, and they'll subsequently be given the full rescue equipment dropping capability. Slow speed this time, about 150 knots with the undercarriage down. And as it turns away from us, I expect we'll see the little forward-looking infrared turret extended below the fuselage. Visible then, it'll certainly be so once it completes this 360-degree orbit in front of us. The very quiet nature of the aeroplane. And finishing off a very graceful display indeed, Lieutenant Rémi Florentin and Ensign Romain Paquelier of the French Aeronautique Naval with the Dassault Falcon 50M.
Like last night, he goes in and you come downstairs in the morning.
The Rafale has replaced no fewer than 7 previous platforms. In the case of the Navy, it meant the Vought F-8P Crusader and the Dassault Super Étendard. A hugely versatile fighter. The French military calls it an omni-role fighter, and it was designed right from the start for that level of versatility. The latest in a very long line of delta-winged combat jets from Dassault. The majority of the Mirage family were all delta-winged, but this is a significant advance even on the very capable Mirage 2000. That delta and canard configuration with the little canard foreplanes was chosen to give the aircraft excellent maneuverability at high angles of attack. Also a good combination of range and weapons carrying capability. Of course, the controls are fully fly-by-wire. The result is a quite outstanding machine, now at the slow with undercarriage down on both aircraft. was the first air arm to bring the Rafale into service. It did so in December 2000. They achieved an initial operational capability in mid-2004. They've now got 3 squadrons on type. Now running in what they call column formation from our left. Both aircraft with the arrestor hook extended. Then of course from the main different aircraft carrier, the Charles de Gaulle. That ship, when it's embarked, normally take 24 Rafales on a cruise, though it can accommodate up to 30, as well as E-2C Hawkeye surveillance aircraft and helicopters. Now the 2 aircraft in towards us for the break. To the fore, we'll see one aircraft passing by slow in front of us. That's the one running in first from the left. Meanwhile, the second jet accelerating. About to come past the other one in the fast-slow overtake. joined the coalition air operations 2 days later. Like these and an E-2C Hawkeye deployed to the USA for joint operations with the US Navy. They flew from the US Navy carrier, the USS George H.W. Bush. That the latest of several recent examples of so-called cross-decking between the US and French naval air arms. Flottille 11F, shore-based at Landivisiau in Brittany. That was the second of the 3 French Navy squadrons to convert to the Rafale. The first had done so from the F-8 Crusader. It was the first to convert from the Super Étendard. Did so in 2011. And it's the French Navy's member squadron of the NATO Tiger Association. Once again, arrestor hooks down. Success, but they're now being delivered to the Egyptian Air Force, and deliveries to the air arms of Qatar and India will follow. Indeed, we welcome the Qatar Emiri Air Force to Yeovilton this year with their C-130J Hercules in the static park. Military combat aircraft until the 2040s at least. One aircraft setting up for landing, the other making another fast run through. Once again, an absolutely fantastic display of not just the performance and the agility, but also the charisma of this aircraft. If anyone says that modern combat jets are in any way boring and soulless, I would say show them the Rafale. Brilliantly demonstrated once again by the French Navy, the 2 Rafale M's of Flottille 11F, call sign Kimono, concluding our presentation. Certainly the most ornate colour scheme from the Belgian Air component, the F-16AM fighting Falcon. F-16 display pilot for the Belgian Air component. This year, Captain Aviateur Stefan Dark, nicknamed for obvious reasons given his surname Vader. He's from 2-wing at Florent. First of 3 seasons as the Belgian F-16 demo pilot. It's a very impressive display indeed, as we've come to expect from the Belgian F-16. Now, in contrast to all of that, the slow speed pass, good chance here to appreciate the new colour scheme on the Belgian display F-16 for this season, which Vader has done the dark Falcon. And so, finishing off a very stylish display, Captain Aviator Stefan Dart with the Belgian Air Component
Mission worldwide, significantly improving safety and our ability to land in the degraded visual environment, such as recirculating snow or dust. The Chinook is operated by 4 squadrons. Operational squadrons numbers 7, 18 and 27 at RF Odiham in Hampshire, and number 28 squadron at RF Benson in Oxfordshire, which provides Chinook training for both pilots and crewmen converting to the aircraft. It is now at its initial manoeuvre entry speed of 120 knots at low level. As the crew run in, they will shortly pitch up eyes looking back up. Please do give them a big wave as they come over the top, and they'll certainly see you all. As they pitch back down now, give the crew a wave before they make their 90-degree breakaway to the left. The Chinook's size often hides its sheer ability and power, but we hope that you'll be impressed by the aircraft performance by the end of the display. The 2018 Chinook display team pilot and aircraft captain is Flight Lieutenant Stu Kinno Kinniston. Kinno is the 27 Squadron operational pilot and training captain. He joined the RAF in 2007 and was posted to Odium to fly Chinooks in 2011. Since arriving on the Chinook force, he turned to the left. This is a difficult point for Kino, as he's unable to see the ground from the front, so he's rapidly scanning sideways, picking markers to ensure that he has the correct pitch in the climb while keeping wings level. This manoeuvre enables the crew to turn quickly, dissipating energy and allowing the aircraft to turn with minimal ground track. The Chinook has been used continually as a battlefield helicopter for over 36 years. Most recently in Iraq and Afghanistan, its heavy lift capacity combined with power, speed and agility ensured that even during the hottest summers and the darkest nights, the force always completed its mission. As the aircraft now flies from left to right, the nose is going to be pulled up by 45 degrees and pitching down now into the roller coaster. The challenge for the crew there is to descend onto the crown centre before climbing again, while battling this 15-ton machine which is being pushed or pulled by the wind. Joining Kino in the cockpit today is the display co-pilot, Flight Lieutenant Andy Donovan. Andy joined the Royal Air Force in 2009 before qualifying on Chinooks in 2015, where he was posted to the mighty 27 Squadron. Since joining the flights, moving his head to try and pick up the display line again before descending to heights, capturing the correct airspeed and running back in. For those of you at the right-hand side of the display line, listen as the aircraft closes in. You can hear the distinctive rotor noise getting louder and louder. This waka waka sound is synonymous with Chinook and leads to our popular Twitter hashtag BladeSlap. The Chinook's going to break away shortly to perform a 60-degree offset wing over away from the crown centre. Flown by the RAF, the Chinook is operated under Joint Helicopter Command in support of all three services and any UK resilience task. It remains in high demand due to its large cabin, capable of carrying up to 40 fully equipped troops. We have many internal configurations, allowing us to carry vehicles, freight and palletised cargo. We can also hoist personnel to and from the aircraft without landing and have other specialist troop insertion and extraction techniques available too. The Chinook can be flown into a remote location and set up as a refuelling site for other aircraft, or be configured for medical emergency response, a role which the force fulfilled during Operation Herrick in Afghanistan. The aircraft is now pulling up to conduct a 30-degree wing over, another challenging manoeuvre at the end with the co-pilot Donners not only calling out Kino's pitch angles, roll angles, heights and speeds, but also glancing out at the left-hand side of the cockpit to talk him around as he's able to see the display line again. With that done, the crew are now positioning for the crowd centre nose over, so it's time to get your cameras ready if you want to catch the Chinook at 45 degrees nose up. The display you see today really demonstrates how manoeuvrable this extremely large helicopter is. Most of the display is born out of the tactical skills employed and perfected on operations around the world. During all these manoeuvres, the co-pilot's eyes are constantly darting around the cockpit. He's checking aircraft performance and constantly talking, or pattering as we call it. Aircraft. Chinook is able to project huge amphibious assaults and resupplies to and from the unforgiving maritime environments. The crew are now going to fly the aircraft into a low-level 360-degree orbit, giving you the chance to really hear the famous and fabulous sound of the aircraft. Looking out in front at the topside view, the photographers amongst you will get a great angle of your awesome machine and its unique contra-rotating blade design, which makes Chinook what it is. Chinook excels in the high-threat tactical battlefield environment. Operating at ultra-low level by day or night, in any weather, it's well protected against both low and high technology threats. It's a battle-tolerant and fully able to self-defend. RAF Chinooks are most at home on challenging missions. Operationally, this Chinook has a 4-person crew, 2 pilots and 2 weapons systems operators in the cabin. Flying this aircraft is the pure form of teamwork, and every mission embodies the crew spirit famous amongst RAF aviators. As the aircraft now runs out to the left, you'll notice he's coming nose up to decelerate through the nose down quick stop. This manoeuvre allows the aircraft to stop in a very tight space if troops are spotted late on the battlefield. Short height holds at this point, which allow him to solely concentrate on holding speed and the correct line. Looking to the ramp, you'll note it has begun to lower. See if you can make it our crewman for today, taking up position on it. This is your moment now, ladies and gents, boys and girls, as we are going to ask you to show your appreciation to the display team as they give you their wave with the RN100 big orange hand. And there he is, giving him a big wave back to boats as he's taking note of all of those that are. In the cabin today is Sergeant James Big K Kennedy. He joined the Islands of Movement operator in May 2005 before transferring to become non-commissioned aircrew in 2009. Fully qualified by 2013, this move was really developed to assist crews negotiating the Gorny Coupe Metal Factory helicopter landing site when Chinooks were operating in Bosnia. As he comes off the top, they begin their 315-degree spiral descent. All of us on 27 Squadron are proud to bring you the 2018 Chinook display in the RS 100th year. We do so alongside our operational and frontline deployment commitments, whilst conducting all of our regular duties, training and tasking. As he runs in, he's now going to go for the left-hand brake. The aircraft is now going to run back in with a nose low, accelerating towards the crowd before braking away to the left. If the wind's right, you may well feel the sound of the Chinook physically shake you. The crew run out to complete another wing over to the left, with the co-pilot working hard to get Kino back into the correct line and land on the runway whilst configuring the aircraft to do so. Get your cameras ready again, as this is a really cool part of the display as they look to touch down on just two wheels of the Chinook 6. Operations in the snow were demonstrated recently as the force reacted to need to stranded villagers in Cumbria, and our tropical and maritime skill sets were called upon around the Caribbean when we were called in to save lives after the devastation left by Hurricanes Irma and Maria in 2017. And there you go, the two-wheel taxi, landing like a conventional aircraft. The two-wheel taxi is a unique skill that sees the pilot touch down before rapidly making control adjustments, which hold the Chinook helicopter up to 20 degrees nose up. With the ground now supporting much of the aircraft's weight, the amount of downwash is reduced by the aircraft, which can sometimes enable us to back out of tight parking spaces. Today though, it allows Kino to run the aircraft straight down the runway, but tilt the rotor disc in a fashion which decelerates the Chinook before eventually coming to a stop. And to add the party trick, he'll now accelerate rearwards. RAF Odium is home to 2,200 personnel of all trades, including air traffic, engineering, armourers, logistics, caterers and medical staff, amongst so many others. All of them are dedicated to supporting our global and national commitments. RAF Odium and the Chinook Force are all about teamwork. We remain ready to respond to national and global events at a moment's notice, with personnel and aircraft on permanent readiness 365 days a year. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The crew are now coming to the hover one final time for you, and this is your chance to show your appreciation for demonstrating the aircraft for you today. Please do give them a big wave before they haul this 15-ton machine backwards and into the hover for the over-shoulder departure. And with that, I must say my goodbyes. It's been an absolute pleasure to display for you here at Yeovilton. Our sincere thanks must go out to all the event organisers, Flying Control Committee and all of you for coming to watch our display. If you'd like to know more about the team or RAF Odium, please do follow our social media outlets under the Chinook Display Team on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram.
Has landed back in its parking slot. Then we're going to have a bonus item for you in the form of the North American Harvard from Kennett Aviation. And that will fill the gap before the Royal Air Force Aerobatic team, the Red Arrows, take off to depart to Bryce Norton in readiness for their appearance at the British Grand Prix tomorrow. This design conceived initially for American Airlines in the mid-1930s, which wanted a new aircraft for its so-called sleeper overnight services across the USA. Douglas came up with what for that role it dubbed the DST, the Douglas Sleeper Transport. And then for more standard daytime use, the DC-3. Success. All the major US airlines of the immediate pre-war era, I should say, operated DSTs or DC-3s. Then came World War II and the type's legend was guaranteed. They were known to the US Army Air Forces as the C-47 Skytrain or C-53 Sky Trooper in their most numerous transport forms, to the US Navy as the R-4D, to the British Commonwealth Forces as here as the Dakota. Subsequent operations to liberate occupied Europe. But that was just a small part of the wartime service of the C-47 and the Dakota. And it continued post-war as well, 70 years ago this year when the city of Berlin was blockaded. First Dakotas entered service in India in 1942. It went on to operate some 1,900 examples. This one, from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight, represents a number 233 Squadron Dakota, based at Blake Hill Farm in Wiltshire, as was used after D-Day for casualty repatriation from the French battlefields. Demonstrating the characteristic rasp of the Pratt & Whitney R1340 Wasp radial engine. Some challenging handling characteristics, but not too challenging that it was impossible for a basic trainee to come in and fly. Rather, it helped develop the sort of skills that would be very useful on the more powerful aircraft that they'd hopefully graduate to. Required of it.
And looking to the Wildcat Maritime Force, 2 squadrons here, A25, the operational conversion unit for the HMA Maritime and Tech Helicopter crew. We take pilots from basic flying training. We also take observers from basic observer training. And then we also had another Wildcat flight embarked in a German ship, the SGS Lübeck. 5, a very, very busy squadron covering the globe. Okay, before I move on to the Commando Helicopter Force, Red Arrow is now lined up on the runway.
Carriers and the F-35 Lightning IIs. Here they go. These are going to be taking part in our Commando Assault finale. Here they go. These are going to be taking part in our Commando Assault finale.
Engineering, intelligence, medical and logistics team. They all also have the Commando Mobile Air Operations team, and we call that the MAOT, and they call themselves the Elite Royal Navy Unit that provides specialist assistance to the Commando Helicopter Force. If you look to your left now, there seems to be some enemy activity.
There is a number of enemy vehicles seem to have entered the area. Fear not, the bangs and the pyrotechnics that you're going to experience during the next few minutes are all purely part of the show. Close air support has been requested by nearby friendly forces, and it's on its way. That's going to be provided by the 2 Hawk T1s, the hostile forces on the ground, and here come the 2 Merlin from the 46 Squadron, deploying rapidly onto the scene. And in May of this year, 845 Squadron received the first Mark IV Merlin, begin replacing the 3s, 3As and 3Is. And here come the 2 Hawks to provide close air support with a strafing run. That for the moment looks to have stopped the hostiles in their tracks. Landing and deploying friendly forces into the area, and more friendly ground forces coming in from the far side of the battle zone in their Jackal fighting vehicles. And the Wildcats lift off again Those troops will be assisting those deployed on board the Jackals. And it now seems as though a bit of a firefight has broken out between the hostiles and the friendlies on the... That top cover being provided by the crewmen in the open doors of the two Wildcats using the .50 caliber machine gun. So that deployment of friendly, that's coming in on the right with the two Merlin Mark IIIs. And their captain. When they're not deployed on the Queen Elizabeth, the Merlins work in support of Royal Marine commandos. They can operate in any environment, the hottest to the coldest climate. 2019 is in fact the 50th consecutive year in which the commando helicopter force has operated in the Arctic environment. Rather different conditions today though, as the two Merlins with the assault Land Rovers come in. So that's the Land Rovers deployed. What about their crews? Well, here they come out of the doors of the two Merlins, being fast straight into the battle area. Bring off the field, 290. In the ground battle, we may well have one or two enemy vehicles look to have been surrounded all the while. Wildcats providing that armed overwatch. And yes, it looks very much as though their days are numbered. The Wildcats clear the area, their job is done, and the enemy have been defeated. A big round of applause for our troops. And we're expecting the two Hawks any moment now. Of course, a vital part of any such operation as this, the forward air controllers airborne, who are inserted onto the ground. And the 4 helicopters, the 2 Merlins from 846 and the Finale, hovering in front of us as the friendly forces array themselves